Number one, do you think there will really be much to be gleaned from this game? And I asked that question because a part of why he's starting is they have so many injured quarterbacks. And I would think that job one for the Browns should be making sure another quarterback does not get hurt.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to really be able to take much away from this at all. But it's so crazy to see all of the excuses people are making for him before the game. You're a four-string quarterback drafted in the 5th round. Any opportunity that you get to play is a blessing. You have the fortune of being able to play likely a whole half. The only other quarterback they have is a guy they signed one day ago, Snoop Huntley. And it's just you. You've been at practice. You've been getting these opportunities. You should be thankful, grateful for the opportunity, because a lot of times fourth quarterbacks don't get the chance to get on the field, and they're just simply getting cut. So he should be ecstatic and take advantage of this opportunity.
But what do you think, if you were running a team right now and you had these two quarters with him, what would you be trying to do?
I would be hoping to see, I would get him throwing the ball a lot. The only thing I want to see is, can he process like an NFL quarterback? I don't need you to complete every throw. I need you to be able to take the completions when given, get to your checkdowns, but also be aggressive with the football. So if he throws some interceptions, not a big deal, but at least be going through the reads, be able to run the operation the right way. He hasn't had to do that in any of his college career, and it's been a big transition in terms of the things he's doing now to the things he's been doing before. So how have we been able to make these steps in this limited amount of time?
All right, so it's a little surprising to me, I think, and maybe to some people, to say that he didn't do this in college, because one would think that hiring Pat Shurmur and, an NFL guy to be the offensive coordinator at Colorado, that would be the thing you would get out of it, right?
You would think, but so much of their offense was built before Shurmur got there. And then a lot of things they started doing when Shurmur became the offensive coordinator were just things Shedeur felt comfortable doing, which I understand. I want to make my college quarterback comfortable. But Deion's job was not, let's develop him for the NFL. He said he wanted to win football games. And I think he did a pretty good job of doing that with him there, but he did not get him prepared for the things he had to do in the NFL.
Now, you and I were both, I think you were maybe a little more skeptical of Shedeur than I was coming out of college. And boy, did we get hell for that one, right? The argument that I made every time around that was, and I think I wound up calling you to talk about this. We had never talked before. And I was just like, okay, I got to talk to somebody that knows something about what's going on. But I think Shedeur is really important to people who didn't watch much college football, right? Like, I think that, where he stands, like I was talking to somebody about this the other day, how a lot of sports consumption has become consumed like the way that people watch reality TV. And so you pick the character that you want to root for. And he, for a lot of people, is the character that they wanted to root for. So for you, what is the biggest thing that you think that he would have needed to improve from being a college quarterback to being in the NFL?
So the thing about Shedeur that was the most alarming to me in terms of how I looked at him as a quarterback was not his arm strength or accuracy or any of those things. It's how long it takes him to throw the football. Like, his processing rate of speed, very slow. So if it takes you longer than everybody, and then not only are you not throwing the ball down the field, he threw more passes behind the line of scrimmage than anybody. So those are the things I'm like, this is not making sense. You can't both take a long time and not push the ball down the field, because he's not athletic enough to be able to do things in the pocket that's just going to extend plays. You would think Shedeur Sanders, son of Deion, would be the most athletic college quarterback, and he's anything but far from that.
I'll tell you, my hot take, I will not at all be surprised if he's the starter on week 1.
I would bet all of my money he's not the starter on week 1. I don't have enough money to really bet with you, but whatever you're willing to bet, I'm willing to cover it. I would say no chance he's a starter. I think that he's fighting for a job more than anything else.
Yeah, let me put it a different way then. I feel like, we know how training camp can go, and guys being hurt and missing a little time or missing a couple weeks can alter the course of history. One example, Phillip Rivers held out in 2004, and Drew Brees had enough time to save his job and keep it and completely alter the direction of his career in a situation where they wanted to give the job to somebody else, right? They knew who they wanted to give it to, but it didn't work out that way. Joe Flacco is about my age, as Deion said. Deion's older than me, and Joe Flacco is his age. Okay. I'm older than Joe Flacco, but whatever. Kenny Pickett, I guess we're still doing this, but if you want to, all right, we're going to keep this going. Dylan Gabriel is a shocker. I think was a shocker for a lot of people when he went in the 3rd round. It still remains a bit of a shocker. If Shedeur has more reps and more opportunity to play than these guys in training camp, Flacco, of course, being a bit of an outlier because he's played there already, you would assume that a man his age doesn't need that much preseason time. But if Shedeur can't get a leg up in this time period, then what are we talking about? I guess becomes the question.
That's the point I'm trying to make. We're on the same page. He's going to get an opportunity to get more reps than anybody, more preseason snaps. I think Dylan Gabriel will be out another week, so he'll probably miss the second preseason game, only get the third game. We're going to see a lot of Shedeur. And I think that that's going to cause us to wonder, does he need to be in the NFL?
Yeah, and I think they're going to be bad in a way that everybody gets a chance to play.
Anybody can throw the ball. Come on, let's take a spin. Let's see if you can do it.
Well, I will ask you this. As you work with Deshaun Watson, is there any chance we see him this year?
Now, will he be healthy enough to play at one point this year? Definitely. What the Cleveland Browns decide to do with him when he is healthy enough to, that's up to them. But I think we've actually been throwing a good bit. We just started throwing. So I think that he'll be ready pretty quickly here. I think quicker than a lot of people expect.
Well, how much does an Achilles injury affect a quarterback, right? Like, you think about this as a basketball injury, it's the most damning injury that you have. Football, it doesn't necessarily go that way. The only quarterback off the top of my head I remember with a prominent Achilles injury was Dan Marino, but he was at an age where he wasn't going to be the same on the backside anyway.
Yeah, we had Dan, we had Kirk, he bounced back a little bit slower. Aaron Rodgers, I think that at the end of last season, we got to see a lot of Aaron Rodgers at a high level. He was playing really well, throwing the ball well. He looked like old Aaron Rodgers. I think Deshaun's game is more predicated on his ability to move, extend plays in the pocket. He's not somebody you see make a ton of on-time throws. A lot of the things that he does cause him to run around, execute in that way. So I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him. I think that if he is able to come back and play, I think that'll actually be helpful for him because he has to learn how to play in the pocket within that structure, throw on time. And I think that it could be something that'd be beneficial for him if he gets an opportunity to come back this year with the Browns.
Well, let me ask you this. What has been the biggest difference between 2020 Deshaun Watson, who, if you had room for skepticism before 2020, which I think was fair on a number of levels, it was all gone that year. And nothing has really been the same since in terms of the performance.
Right. He was number one in passing yards, number two in completion. It was crazy. The stats that he put up that year, I think you could argue he was the number one or number two best quarterback in the league. I think that the way that he played was with a level of confidence that we haven't seen him play with since. Of course, all the things that went on, all the things that happened, I don't want to brush over those, but doesn't play that year, goes to Cleveland Browns, out another year, 3 games into the next season, he's hurt in an offense that I think is a little bit different than things he's been traditionally asked to do. And then last year, some of the things that I saw on film were not great. And I think that his fundamentals got a little bit away from the things that he'd done before. You'll see his base got a little bit crazy, wasn't able to throw the ball as consistently as he wanted. I think that he was moving in the right direction, tears his Achilles. So all those things have happened. And I think we've just seen a lack of confidence more than anything is what I feel like I've seen on the screen. If you're not confident in the offense you're running, and not that the coach is a good coach, but confident that you know exactly what you need to do every time you step to the line of scrimmage so that you can execute the right way. That's difficult. And that's where I think that we've seen the biggest decline in play.
Well, let me ask you this question about just quarterbacking and confidence, because this has always been, I don't even know if a theory is the right way to put it, but everything is about how quick you get something done, right? See the throw, make the throw. Like, that's Kyle Shanahan's thing where he talks about, if you just want you to rip it when you see it. That's the thing that Brock Purdy will do. I see the throw. I might not get it right, but I'm going to go ahead and make it now. The throw isn't there yet. It's going to be there. I'll make it. To me, it's not as much as I think a lot of people like to make it as like, if you can see it, you can be it sort of thing with confidence. I think about it in terms of literally how confidence shortens the amount of time that you need to get something done in a game where milliseconds matter that much.
You'll see, when I think about confidence, just like you said, it's a guy who's willing to throw the ball early before the guy's left his break. So he's still leaning one way. You see, CJ Stroud is one of the best young quarterbacks ever to me at this. He is so confident in the things that he's doing that he's going to throw the ball while Stephen still has 2 steps to get out of his break. You'll see Nico Collins surprised that a ball hits him in his face mask. That confidence is earned, but it also is provided to you by the coaching staff. The coaching staff gives you the permission to make mistakes. And if you don't have the confidence that you can make a mistake, get back in the game and do well, then it gets really difficult. And I think that's why we see such a lack of success from backup quarterbacks. When those guys are nervous to make mistakes, you don't get to play with that level of anticipation, that level of confidence. And I think that's the biggest determining factor in how well a guy really plays throughout his career.
And it was also why Joe Flacco as a backup worked, because he wasn't as good as it may have seemed, but what in the world did he have to be scared of?
What are y'all going to do? Hello? I'm about to throw this ball when I feel like throwing it. Either we going to catch it or they going to catch it, and we'll see how it works. Jameis Winston is someone who plays with an extreme amount of confidence too, and you see it go bad, but he's also someone who didn't get a ton of time in order to correct their mistakes. So all those things we get to see.